everyone. My name is Pam, and today I'm with Professor Roshi Natigi on Fireside Chats, and she will be telling us about her experience as a professor here at Purdue, as well as her experience outside of being a professor, and kind of sharing different perspectives with us. So, just for introduction sakes, could you tell us where you're from, where you grew up, and how your journey, all the way up until Purdue?
Sure. So I'm originally from Tehran, the capital city of Iran, and that's where I was born. And I was there until I was 16. Then I moved to the UK. That's where I did my undergraduate studies. And for my graduate studies, I came to the US. I was in the DC area, so Baltimore. I went to Johns Hopkins, and then I moved to West Lafayette for this job.
Okay. So at Johns Hopkins, and what did you study?
So there I was in the Department of Environmental Engineering. We had two components to that department, the systems group and the process group. The process group are the real environmental engineers. Us in the systems group did systems level analysis, but with environmental applications.
Okay, cool. And then here at Purdue, what subject do you teach?
So I've recently joined, I started teaching from last semester. I taught statistics last semester. This semester I'm teaching advanced data analytics. And most likely I'll also be teaching decision and risk analysis.
So could you tell me about how you decided to choose to teach this major? What got you interested? Was there an instance, or was it something that just grew on you?
So in the general field, or this topics that I teach in particular?
Either one. Fields, sure.
I mentioned it to you earlier, but during my undergrad, I was in mechanical engineering, and in my third year, I took a course in energy, and I learned about the adverse impacts of fossil fuel generated electricity, problems with climate change, potential technologies to mitigate its impacts, and then I realized I want to go to the environmentally related field. So that's when I applied for an environmental engineering PhD program. And over there, so I knew that I wanted to do something within the context of climate change. And my research is actually looking at the impact of several stressors, including climate change, on reliability and resiliency of critical infrastructure systems. So once I started learning about those topics, then learning about data-driven research, analytics and so on, were tools used to learn more about these fields. So that's how I kind of moved my way into this field.
Okay. Cool. What would you say, I guess, is your favorite experience, either as a student or as a professor so far, that you've been in the academic world? What did you do your undergrad years that you thought students should follow today that would be cool?
So things students should do in undergrad that are cool.
Maybe cool opportunities you see at Purdue that maybe we don't know as much about, that, or maybe some life skills you've had at Johns Hopkins that you want to share with students.
Sure. So the aspects of college experience that I thought were cool. For my undergrad, so I was in London. I absolutely loved the diversity. It was just so many people from different countries, different cultures, and I love interacting with people from different cultures. And there's so much you learn. Sometimes we get so bound by our own paradigms of living, and that gets us stressed, and then you hear about all these other perspectives, and it helps you grow as a person and maybe be more resilient. And then, and I think one resource that I thought, that's the skill that I learned during my undergrad, and then I try to keep it up, is trying to find a network of friends or mentors, whomever that you feel comfortable with, as your support structure that helps you throughout the years or your struggles. For my graduate program, it was my first time in the US, and there are a few things that I really like about the US academic environment. One is I think that you see a lot more innovative ways of teaching, interdisciplinarity, flexibility. Maybe some of the Eastern and maybe European approaches could be a little bit more rigid in structure. And the other one is actually the importance of sports. So that's not something that is valued in Iran, and I didn't pick it up in the UK. And the one thing that I picked up during my PhD, I started running. And then I was like, wow, the longer I run, the happier I am. It was like a best stress management. And
For sure.
then, so I really like the fact that it's really valued here. And one thing I like about Purdue, the gym. It's pretty amazing.
Yes, it's like a haven for athletes, and also like staying active is definitely something students like to remember to do is awesome. On the flip side, so instead of talking about what students have to do that are cool, what are some things you would say like maybe you wish you did more of when you were a student? What are some things you wish as a professor that maybe students did more of that you see?
So one thing that I tried to get better at and I did less of, and I maybe parts of the regrets for my undergrad and maybe less so for my grad, was when I started my undergrad, I was the first time in a different country, speaking in a different language and everything, and I was quite a shy person. And obviously there are things that you struggle with. Everything is new, and that's a fascinating part about college. You learn so much, you grow as a person, but at the same time there are some really stressful aspects as well. I didn't know how to ask for help, and it's not necessarily ask for help, but you can just reach out to people who have done it before, maybe mentors, and that's something that I didn't do, and I thought I would just quote unquote suck it up and figure it out. And maybe I mean it's nice to reach out, and maybe more in a professional setting would be networking. I mean that's a very important skill that maybe it's harder, especially in engineering fields. Most of us are introverts. We try to keep to ourselves, right? But it's there's so many positive things associated with reaching out to people, networking, trying to get through things in groups.
Okay.
I think would be helpful.
How would you encourage students to go about developing, say, this networking skill? Like, what are some little things that they can be doing, like maybe throughout their daily careers as students to improve this skill?
That's a good question. I think that one thing is the first step would be the decision to be proactive, right? And then maybe start with little baby steps. The people that you find more comfortable with, you start talking to, and then they put you in touch with others. They get you connected. And I think as students, so actually last night I went to a networking event for IE, Women in IE, and I thought it was such a wonderful program that was organized. So the students were getting together, reading literature, networking or whatever, and they had a bunch of different professors, students of different years, grad students and so on, and they were talking to each other how to get more proactive. So you can have, organize maybe networking events here just to get a little bit more comfortable, and then going to conferences. So a whole lot of things you can do, but starting with baby steps, nothing overwhelming.
As a professor, like having taught a semester, what would you say are traits in good students that you would like to see more of, like having had students yourself? So the traits that I really like, it's easy to see when students are very excited about learning a particular topic. They're interested in the topic itself, they want to learn, as opposed to stressing about grades. I think the one thing that I don't like is students negotiating about grades, and the grades being the only reason they do certain things, or so yeah. Okay. And just to switch the topics from academics to life in general, what are some things you do, of course, outside of research and being a professor, that you enjoy, maybe more than running? Like, what are some hobbies you enjoy?
So actually, I have to say the thing that has been keeping me sane is running. That's something that I was doing less of maybe last semester, and probably the reason I was a little bit more stressed. But when I'm happy or sad, running is what I do. And yeah, spending time with friends. So as I was saying, like I also reach out to have my network of friends, colleagues, people that you can decompress with. I like traveling. So the little chances I get here and there, I try to get out.
Okay, and just to wrap everything up, in regards to life, do you have any advice for students now, like since you have more years and experiences than we do, being younger and students, that you'd like to share? Maybe a motto you live by, or something that keeps you that you keep in mind that keeps you going in life?
Sure. So thinking back, we think we go to college to get a degree and then get a job, right? But I think so much more happens in college. Like I think there are so many more valuable lessons that you learn besides the topics that you study. And I think one of them is personal resilience. So I think when I talk about the networks of, I think it's a component of that, right? So being resilient and just keep going in the direction that you're excited, and not internalizing negative feedback or rejection. So being able to, stand back up again and keep at whatever interests you.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I try to do, at least.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your time and thank you for coming in.
Thank you. It was a
Audience
pleasure.
members, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.